Hey, never judge a Trojan by his weight.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Marc, and thank you for making Locked On USC your first listen every day. Whether you're watching me on YouTube or wherever you like to download your podcast, we are always free, and we really do appreciate your support. If you are watching on YouTube and you haven't done it yet, there's a subscribe button. Do me a favor, hit it. It would mean a whole heck of a lot. And if you like the shows, you can also do that, and also hit that notification bell. That way you never miss an episode. And it's kind of hard because Locked On USC comes at you 5 days a week. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/Locked On today to get started. So everyone fudges the numbers a little bit, but by 24 pounds, Tuli Tuipulotu is one of 5 USC Trojans who is currently at the NFL Combine this week. And when he stepped on the scales in Indianapolis, those 290 pounds that he had listed on his name on USC's roster somehow shriveled down to 266 pounds. Broken scale? Probably not. ESPN's ESPN's NFL draft analyst, Matt Miller, called that number the biggest weigh-in surprise of the day. So here's the question. Did Tuli slim down by 24 pounds since early January when USC played Tulane in the Cotton Bowl? Or was he just so good inside as well as on the edge that his weight doesn't really make a difference? And that's really the point here, what we're going to be talking about. There's a third or. Was USC making him bigger than he was? I'm talking about weight. Tuli's play on the field did all the talking. Now, I'm not sure what to make of this, but his NFL Combine measurements are the exact height and weight. Those numbers are the same numbers he had when he arrived at USC as a recruit in 2020. So I know the strength and conditioning program at USC has been under some scrutiny, last 4 or 5 years, but something just feels amiss here. During some of the interviews, that's probably the biggest part of the process here that players have to overcome at the combine. There's a process to it, and Tuli was asked, I feel like I can play anywhere. I guess they were talking about his size, weight, and where he feels most comfortable. He said, I feel like I can play whatever position. Putting on weight, going back inside, slimming down, going back outside, I'll play whatever. But I have a lot of experience on the edge. That's the position I played the most during college. So I think everyone would agree college is a different animal than the NFL. So can the trim down Tuli, can a 266-pound Tuli transition to the NFL at that same weight, or is he going to be asked to bulk up? He's going to play along the defensive line at somewhere, inside or outside, but is 266, 270, that might be a little light. What do you think? Now, despite Tuli moving down in his weight class, he still packs a pretty big punch. If you don't believe me, go check out the NFL Network and or just look for some social media highlights and make sure you find the highlight where Tuli is running the bags, the drill where you kind of run a slalom through these blocking bags, and there's a guy that's holding them when you run through him, you're supposed to slap it like you're slapping the offensive lineman as you run by him. Well, Tuli hit so hard. The guy holding the bag on the first rep felt it. I mean, Tuli knocked him over. So even the guys who are, kibitzing in the background on the NFL Network, they were just having small talk about whatever. They kind of stopped when they heard the sound, and then they chuckled when they saw the guy holding the bag. Basically, the bag hit him right in the face, and the guy did one of those whiplash effects when it popped him. And it made a lot of sense because Tuli went on to say during part of the interviewing process, everything to me is power. Power sets up everything. I always rely on power. Everything counters off of that. And one of the first questions that was asked of Tuli was how he explained jumping from going from 5.5 sacks his sophomore year in 2021 to leading the nation with 13.5 last year. He said, quote, "I give a lot of credit to Coach Sean Nua. Preparation before the season started, during the season, he just prepared me very well, and he helped me a lot to get those stats." So while Tuli, credits Nua with helping him develop a counterpunch off that power rush, he calls it Tuli described it as a hop out, which it kind of allows him to show off his power and then change direction with his rush. So it takes a lot of dexterity for someone that size. And he went on to say, that's something that I had to progress throughout the season and learn throughout the season from Coach Nua. So it's not just something that comes easily. You have to continue to master the craft, know when to use it. It's a feel that comes during the game. And by the end of the season, that was probably Tuli's best move. The guy holding the bag at the combine would probably agree. And not only is Tuli powerful with his punch, point of impact, but he's also really light on his feet. Even at 266, his footwork, I mean, one of the other highlights is he just really clean feet when he was stepping over the bags. The only thing he touched was the turf. Bag didn't move. None of them, all 4 of them. And his numbers could have probably, had he, I don't know, maybe not slipped, it'd be even better. Now, on a previous episode, when I was talking about player and coach access during spring camp, I explained why the freshmen are held back until they're ready to meet the press. They go through a process with the sports information director, Katie Ryan, and she helps them learn how to answer the dumb questions that we're going to ask. Tuli was really focused and prepared for the interview process in Indianapolis. He knew it was a big part of the evaluations. And I can tell you, I watched him grow from his freshman year to when he left. He went from an introvert who was really shy to, he was looking for the camera. He wanted to talk. And that's a great quality. That's a locker room type of quality you want. The guys, whichever team drafts him, they're going to love him. So Tuli said, that's one thing I tried to focus on. Just give better interviews. That's something that Coach Nua helped me out with too. Interviews, going over plays. He has a lot of experience, so he knew a lot of stuff that would be asked of me. Now, everyone anticipates that Tuli is probably going to hear his name called on day 2 of the draft. But I think so far his combine has made a positive impression. And his upcoming pro day is also going to give him another chance to impress scouts. So is it possible that Tuli can hear his name slide in day 1 late? Maybe. Who knows? Maybe you want to place a bet on that? If so, we're going to talk about FanDuel. We're at the midway point of the NBA season. It's here. And now, this is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And you're asking yourself, well, why would I do it? Well, because new customers are going to get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. What does that mean? That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. So if you lose, you win a lot, like $1,000 worth of bets. So just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, it's secure, it's super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to the point scores, who's going to make the most threes. Gotta love the prop bets. I'm one of those guys. And with FanDuel, it even helps you combine your bets with a chance at a bigger payout with a same game parlay. So don't miss a chance to get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to fanduel.com/locked on. That's fanduel.com/locked on to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Okay, once again, it's that time of the show. Thank you for making Locked On USC your first listen every day. It means so much to me. I had someone approach me at the USC-Arizona basketball game and who said they really enjoy the show. And one of the articles I had written, elementary school principal. And I can't tell you how much that made me feel good. So thank you. But when you're done with making Locked On USC your first listen, make sure you check out our brand new podcast, Locked On College Basketball. It's everything you need to know about college basketball in one place. Plus, you're going to hear it from big name experts, insiders, coaches, and the players. Locked On College Basketball, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. I'm going to talk about a little college basketball at the end of the show. If you haven't sensed it yet, I'm kind of in a sour mood right now. Yeah. Moving in, and we're going to talk about something a little bit more intriguing, like the top 2 most intriguing players heading into spring camp. It's here. Well, the second most intriguing guy on the We Are SC list. I'll jump right into it. It's not Caleb Williams. It's Mason Cobb. So Mason Cobb was the number 2 tackler for the Oklahoma State Cowboys in 2022. He finished the season. Remember, I said he was the number 2 leading tackler on their roster last year. He had 96 tackles. He also led the Cowboys with 13 tackles for loss. He added a couple sacks, 11 quarterback hurries, and also a forced fumble. Now, while 96 may have only been good for number 2 on their roster, that was more than good enough to lead USC. If I was to ask you off the top of your head, without looking, who led USC in tackles in 2022, you probably wouldn't guess right. If you do, you are a freaking genius, and I got to meet you. I looked it up. I thought it would be a linebacker. I thought it might be Shane Lee, maybe Eric Gentry. It was Max Williams, your nickelback, who had 79. Now remember, 96 was the second leading tackler at Oklahoma State. The nickelback at USC, safety, led USC with 79. Shane Lee was number 2 at 78. So while Mason finished with a ton of tackles last season, he actually could have had a lot more. You know what? When you're done watching this episode of Locked on USC, make sure you head on over to WeRC and show Eric McKinney some appreciation. We've got a subscription special going right now. Take advantage of it because he brings out the numbers. And if you're a numbers guy, person, female, he backs up his research with some pertinent numbers. And this is probably going to, make the little curlies on the back of your neck stand up a little bit. And not in a good way. According to Sports Information Solutions, No linebacker in the country allowed more broken tackles than the 16 given up by Mason Cobb. And those broken tackles led to an extra 136 yards of offense for the opponents. That same service, Sports Information Solutions, credited Shane Lee with 9 missed tackles that ended up for an extra 156 yards allowed. Gentry had 4. Mason was also credited with 10 missed tackles in that category. Lee had 11. Gentry had 9. So, is Cobb a feast or famine type of player? Because it sounds like USC is getting a tackling machine that misses its mark every so often, much like the existing group of tacklers at USC. I'm just focused on the linebackers. So with Gentry sidelined for the spring, Mason's going to get plenty of opportunity to show he's capable of filling the role at middle linebacker, the role that Eric Gentry played last year. And if he impresses and Gentry and Lee are also healthy by the time fall camp rolls around, the intrigue's really going to start to build even more. But this is a good thing. This is kind of rich people problems. I'm okay with this. Because now Riley and Grinch have to make sure they're making the right choice. If there's a 50-50 proposition, as Riley likes to talk about, don't put it in their hands. Well, it's going to be in their hands now, unless one of these guys really separates themselves. Mason's ability to play middle linebacker could also allow the staff to be more creative. Where else can they use Eric Gentry? I've discussed maybe seeing what he can do at rush end. Yeah, he's a little light in the trunk, but his speed and his length, his athleticism, it's intriguing. So who's my number 2 guy on the list? Well, it also wasn't Caleb Williams. So everybody, who we're going to be talking about on number 1. It was also Mason Cobb. So when the entire We Are SC staff all yell bingo at the same time, it pretty much means the smart people have entered the room. But it also means there was a gaping hole in the middle of USC's defense last year. And when I don't mean up the middle per se, but tackling was the gaping hole in the middle of USC's defense last year. So does Cobb bring what's necessary, or is he just going to be bringing more of what we've been accustomed to? I think he's a positive. You don't run into 96 tackles. Okay, that's effort. You got to want to be there. You got to want to do that. And if you can stay healthy, it's going to be a plus. So the other thing with Mason, he appears to be, at least on film, he looks to be faster than Shane Lee, and he can cover the mid-range passing game. But those missed tackle numbers really do make the lines of my forehead kind of scrunch up. I was kind of hoping that wasn't an issue. So we're going to see. We're going to keep it positive. I know that USC has really brought over some high impact players through the transfer portal last year and this year. Shane Lee, Eric Gentry, now Mason Cobb. We've talked about Jamil Muhammad, Jack Sullivan, Anthony Lucas. I mean, I can go on. So there you go. Mason Cobb, intrigue storyline number 2 going into spring camp. But there's one more little storyline there. Mason Cobb wears the number 0 jersey. I've mentioned this before. So does Corey Foreman. I'm going to let you know who is wearing that jersey when I get out to spring practice, or whenever USC releases the 2023 spring roster, whichever comes first, because the first two practices, the media won't be there, not by our choice, but we will be there for the third practice on the 8th. By then, I'm sure someone will have leaked who's wearing the jersey. I will try and find out for you sooner if I can. And then after that third spring session, they're off for 11 days while they head off for spring break. So I'm starting to think this is one of the reasons why the media isn't allowed those first two sessions when they're in shorts and helmets, to keep us from knowing who's wearing what jersey number. I'm kidding, of course. But, I mean, seriously, what are we going to see on those first 2 days in shorts and helmets? What are you keeping from us? The media wants to be there. We want to support the team. Use us. Let us promote for you. All right. Let us build the program. And if you want to get something built and you're looking for something delicious, but you don't want all the fat and calories, you got to go try a Built Bar. If you're like me and you want to eat healthier, but you don't want to compromise taste, and I'm a really fickle, picky eater, then I've got just the thing for you. You got to try Built. With Built, healthy is actually tasty, and they're delicious. You won't even think they're good for you. They might be like the perfect treat. And they're made with 100% real chocolate. That's right, real chocolate. And they come in some really cool flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, and coconut almond. I'm not sure how Built does it. They kind of keep that, that's proprietary. But their bars taste like a candy bar, and they do it while maintaining all those amazing macros you like to talk about. You're going to get 130 calories. You're only going to get 4 grams of sugar, and you're going to get a whopping 17 grams of protein. And now you don't even have to wait for those things. You don't have to order them online. If you're near a Sam's Club or Walmart, you're in luck. That's right. Head into your nearest Walmart, walk to the pharmacy section, grab yourself a box of Built Bars. You can pick up a 4-bar box of their cookies and cream, their double chocolate, or their coconut puffs. And if you're near Sam's Club, check it out. A 13-bar box of their hit-flavored brownie batter and churro. Let me know what you think. Thank me later. All right. I told you a little bit ago I wasn't in a great mood. Well, earlier this evening, there was a huge game at Galen Center. It was Thursday night. USC was hosting number 8 Arizona, who was looking to avoid losing for the second time in a row under their head coach, Tommy Lloyd. Not this season. Since he's been their head coach, Arizona has never lost 2 games in a row. That's impressive. And this is why Wildcat fans follow their program. I'm going to get to that in a second. Arizona is a basketball school. And anyways, they were pretty loud inside Galen Center. And not only were the Wildcat players cognizant of the fact that they haven't lost 2 games in a row, they mentioned it. They were quoted, and they were looking to bounce back, especially after the way they lost at home on Senior Day in Tucson when ASU brought a little March Madness to the arena early. Arizona upheld their word. They won 87-81. They broke USC's, 13-14 game home winning streak. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I'm in a bad mood. USC is going to host ASU Saturday night. It's their final game of the season. USC fans, get out there. ASU is coming in. They're going to be angry. They're going to want to ruin USC's senior day. USC kind of smacked them around at Poly Pavilion earlier in the evening as well. As far as who played well for USC against Arizona, Boogie Ellis has the second half of the season, he flipped the switch. He has taken over this team. Well, he had 35 points, and he is playing like a man possessed. Um, I asked Coach Enfield after the game what it is, and he said that essentially Boogie has matured. He's just making great decisions. And when you watch him play, he's playing like every repetition is his last. He looks like a legitimate NBA point guard right now. Reese Dixon Waters, he was a second leading scorer. He had 17. I think he had a sense he was going to have a good game. He was out there about 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours before tip off, shooting around, looking for his shot. Kobe Johnson, third on the team, 14 points. Kobe got his 14 points, and he was playing with foul trouble all game long. So did Boogie. All I'm going to say is I cannot wait to get out of this conference and away from Pac-12 officiating. They are horrible. Drew Peterson, non-factor. He was playing with a stiff back all game. He made a 3 early, and that was pretty much it. And that was the difference in the game. Without USC cannot win with just 2 guys scoring. And they really needed Drew. He's the glue to the team because he rebounds, and he was just a non-factor. Everybody was kind of blown by him on defense. He was given an effort, but he wasn't even able. Andy tried to go with a different second half lineup, but eventually Andy went with what he felt was the best. What really killed USC was in the paint. Arizona is just too big down low for USC right now. Omar Ballo and Tubelis, they just own Josh Morgan and Vince Uwachukwu right now. They're just too big for those guys. I thought Kajani Wright played well, but oh well, whatever. USC will be back at Galen Center Saturday night. Get out there because I got to tell you, it's pretty embarrassing to see other fans from another team owning the arena at the end of the game. I get it, USC fans, you left early when you thought the game was over, but it's only going to get worse next year, when USC joins the big conference, because think about how many alumni from Michigan live in Southern California. Same with Ohio State and a lot of those big conference teams. You don't like to live in those states. You move to California. USC fans, stop embarrassing yourself. You actually had a good showing. The student section, fantastic. The Legion line outside, couldn't wait to get in. You did your job. Maybe you were on ESPN, you wanted to look good, whatever. You did it. Do it again Saturday night. Appreciate the team on senior day. Get out there. I'll be back with another episode of Locked on USC. I'll be back with another 5 episodes starting Monday next week. So until then, when you're done with Locked on USC is your first listen. You know to make Locked on College Basketball your second listen. Then head on over to wearesc.com because Scott Schrader, he's throwing up some recruiting information. There's going to be, they're expecting some big names out there on Saturday. Maybe that's another reason why they don't want the media around. They're anticipating having a lot of recruits on campus, and they would just like to keep everybody separated. So, you know what? Good. Get the recruiting game going. So until the next episode of Locked On USC, everyone, have a great weekend. Thank you again. It means so much to me that you're here. Tell a friend. And until our next episode,